At 2:17 a.m. on a rain-slicked highway, 22-year-old Ethan Cole glanced at a notification on his phone. That single second of distraction ended in a collision of tearing metal and shattering glass, followed by total silence. When paramedics arrived, Ethan was unresponsive. At the hospital, doctors rushed him into emergency surgery for massive brain trauma. He was placed on a ventilator in the ICU, his survival entirely dependent on the machines surrounding his bed. To evaluate his condition, doctors used the Glasgow Coma scale. This metric tracks eye, verbal, and motor responses. While a healthy person scores a 15, Ethan's lack of movement gave him a 3, the lowest possible score, indicating a total absence of observable awareness. To the medical team, the data was clear. Ethan's brain was dark. While the monitors confirmed his biological survival, there was no clinical evidence to suggest a mind was still functioning inside. Standard ICU monitoring is designed to track organ function, not the presence of consciousness. It can tell a doctor if a heart is beating, but it cannot see the thoughts of a patient who cannot move. Unaware of the medical prognosis, Ethan's mother stayed by his bed. She talked to him about his day and played his favorite songs, acting on the hope that some part of him was still there to listen. Ethan later revealed that he heard everything. He was conscious, listening to the hum of the machines and the voices of doctors discussing his brain damage. But he was trapped in a body that refused to respond to his commands. This is the silence paradox. When the physical bridge between the mind and the body collapses, a person can become a fully aware observer of a world that believes they are gone. A coma is like a massive power failure in a city. Some neighborhoods remain active, but central hubs and communication lines have gone dark. Physical trauma disconnects these sectors. A thought forms, but with lines cut, it cannot reach the muscles to speak or blink. In 2006, researchers tested this theory using fMRI scans. They took patients who had been diagnosed as vegetative and asked them to imagine a specific physical task, playing a game of tennis. This comparison shows the results. Despite being physically motionless, the brains of these patients lit up in the exact same motor regions as healthy, awake volunteers. The scans proved that unresponsive is often a physical limitation rather than a mental one. These patients understood the instructions. They simply lacked the biological pathways to act on them. Martin Pistorius experienced this for over a decade. After falling into a mysterious illness as a child, he was misdiagnosed as vegetative. He sat in his wheelchair for years, hearing every conversation around him, unable to signal that his mind had returned. In some cases, this is called locked-in syndrome. The person is fully alert and cognitively intact, but every muscle in their body is paralyzed, sometimes leaving them with only the ability to move their eyes. Survivors describe a range of internal experiences during these periods. While some remember absolutely nothing, others report vivid dreams triggered by the brain's attempt to process the heavy silence, hallucinations that can feel as detailed and consistent as waking life. When we combine these accounts with fMRI data, it forces a difficult question. How many people labeled as lost are actually conscious observers? Waking from a coma is rarely a single moment. It is a slow, physical reconstruction. The brain must find ways to rebuild or bypass damaged neural pathways, a process that is often inconsistent and takes months of recovery. Terry Wallace, seen here years before his accident, entered a minimally conscious state following a car crash. For 19 years, he remained largely silent, until he suddenly began to speak again in 2003. Terry's recovery was a physical feat. Brain scans later showed that over those 2 decades, his brain had grown entirely new physical connections, extending glowing fibers called axons to bridge the gaps caused by his injury. Wallace's case showed that the brain can continue to restructure itself for decades, successfully reconnecting pathways that were thought to be permanently destroyed. On day 27, Ethan Cole's finger moved. When he finally regained the ability to speak, he confirmed what the fMRI studies suggested. He had heard his mother's voice and the music she played every day. He recalled private conversations and events in the hallway that occurred while he was clinically unresponsive. His memory provided the final proof that he had been a witness to his own recovery. This remains a great mystery of neuroscience. We can track the firing of neurons and the growth of new connections, but we still cannot explain how these physical processes create the subjective feeling of being you. Cases like Ethan's challenge the traditional medical definitions of awareness. They suggest that consciousness can persist in the shadows, waiting for the body to catch up, even when every clinical measure suggests